results and make this argument to the court.
Okay, Ms. Nelson.
Yes, Your Honor. We were able to obtain capture a copy of the tweet itself, as well as a copy of the tweet along with some other tweets from other news organizations tweeting about the tweet. If I may approach your staff with the two exhibits that I've marked as CTR 98 and CTR 99.
Yes, actually, why don't you give them to me first so that I can see
May
them?
I approach?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
No objection to the court receiving these, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Ms. Nelson?
Your Honor, this is obviously a violation of Order C-197 that was issued on April 20th of this year that prohibits members of the media from publicly identifying any juror or publicly providing any information that was not disclosed in court, and that could reasonably lead to the identification of a juror. That was an order that was issued by the court sua sponte. The juror's privacy in this case is obviously an important issue for the court, and it's also important to the parties. And the court has taken many steps to protect the jurors and the jurors' identities in this case. As I stated, it's a concern that is shared by the parties. Ultimately, however, it is the court's responsibility to determine the sanction for this conduct by the media and how to proceed. The defense has several options that it thinks that the court should consider taking. The first would be to ban Newsweek from being present in the courtroom, which is the sanction that the court indicated it would impose for a violation of C-197. A violation of this order will result in the violator and any organizations with which he or she is affiliated being immediately barred from the courthouse and courthouse premises during the remainder of this trial. The court should also consider whether any of the other media organizations that tweeted information about this tweet should be subject to the same sanction. In addition, we think it would be appropriate for the court to consider issuing an indirect contempt citation under Colorado Rule of Civil Procedure 107, and either as part of that contempt proceeding or in addition to that contempt proceeding, consider appointing a special investigator or special counsel to investigate this issue and how it came to pass that the media got a hold of this juror's information and published it on Twitter. It's ultimately up to the court. It's our position that the court should act swiftly and send a strong and important message to the media that this is a very serious violation. It will not be tolerated, and if the media violates a court order, that there will be severe and serious consequences.
All right, thank you. Anything from the people, Mr. Orman?
Here, I'm just trying to think this through, and I don't disagree with what Ms. Nelson said in any particular way. I'm just, and you know, I guess I took con law a long time ago when I was in law school, and I guess I know a little bit about freedom of the press and whatnot, but certainly I'm no expert on that. But so I'm just trying to sort of think through this just legally, step by step. The court, I think, has the power to regulate the people that are in the courtroom, and I would assume that Newsweek was in the courtroom. I believe that is the case. I don't know how they got the name of this juror. It could be that they recognized him. You know, stranger things that happen. It could be that they took information from voir dire and put two and two together and figured it out that way. It could be that somebody told them. There could be a bunch of different ways that they got that information. The court obviously is limited in its power. I see a note being brought in. Do you want me to wait to continue, Your Honor?
No, you can continue.
So, and I don't know what those limitations are. I don't know what those limitations are. So, and I don't know what the court should do. I think counsel, I'm kind of surprised, frankly, that that tweet was still there. I would have thought that an organization like Newsweek would have deleted that tweet as soon as they heard about this, and I would have been surprised if they weren't watching on that camera right there. So that's surprising to me. It's somewhat shocking to me that was not deleted. And I guess I don't have anything else to say, Your Honor. I mean, you can certainly ban people from the courtroom. You can't ban everybody, nor would you want to. But unless you have a question for me, Your Honor, that's all I got.
No, thank you. It's my understanding from the judicial branch's public information officer that there was actually a story about this from Newsweek. And as soon as he became aware of it, he contacted the reporter and had the reporter take it down after he showed the reporter my order, or forwarded to the reporter my order. He was not aware of the tweet, but the information was taken down. The tweet wasn't, and maybe it hasn't been taken down yet, because Ms. Nelson was able to print C-TR, C-TR-98 and C-TR-99. But Mr. McCollum, who's the public information officer for the judicial branch, once he became aware that there was this information out there with the juror 737's name publicly displayed, made contact with that reporter, forwarded a copy of my order C-197. It's my understanding that the reporter and Newsweek have agreed or have indicated to Mr. McCollum that they're not intending to cover any part of the proceedings from here on out. I still think it's appropriate, even notwithstanding that apparent agreement, for me to issue an order banning not only the reporter but Newsweek from being in the courthouse, not just the courtroom, but the courthouse premises, as long as these proceedings are ongoing. In terms of whether any other media organization should be sanctioned, I'm not aware of any other media organization that published the same information or that republished the same information. If the parties are aware of that, I would like to know about it, because that too would be improper. I don't know how Newsweek or this reporter from Newsweek found out about juror 737's name, but frankly, Newsweek should know better. And it is really disappointing that something like this happened, especially given my order. And you know, the record should be clear that this case has received a lot of media coverage, a lot of media attention. There have been members of the media sitting here for months, and a lot of them, and they all have been professional. They all have complied with my rules. I think the only incident that I'm aware of that has taken place happened with respect to the contact between someone from Yahoo News and Marcus Weaver, and that was pretty mild too. And so everyone has complied with my orders. Everyone has done what they're supposed to do. And then here's someone who apparently thinks she's special, and she's not subject to my rules, and she's not subject to orders, and she can do apparently whatever she wants. So I'm gonna issue an order not only prohibiting her from being on the courthouse premises while the proceedings are ongoing, but prohibiting Newsweek from being on the courthouse premises while the proceedings are ongoing. In terms of any other media organizations, if counsel become aware or are aware of any of them, I would like to know about that. In terms of the request for direct contempt, I actually think it would be indirect contempt, because direct contempt would be if it happened in the courtroom.
No, Your Honor, and if I misspoke, I meant to say indirect. I
Okay.
thought I did, but that's what I meant.
I may have misheard you. I thought you said direct, and I don't think this would be a direct contempt situation, and Ms. Nelson agrees. So to the extent that you said direct, then, to the extent that you said direct, it sounds like that was inadvertent. But I don't think any further action is necessary. I think that issuing an order preventing Newsweek from being in the courthouse or being on courthouse premises while the proceedings are continuing is sufficient. Mr. Orman?
And I am not asking the court to take any additional action, but since I know this, I just thought I would mention to the court. My understanding is that Newsweek actually, Newsweek publishes websites and stuff under different names, and I don't know if Your Honor is referring to a corporation or just that title, Newsweek. I'm pretty sure there's a website called The Daily Beast, which I think is owned and run by Newsweek. I mean, that could have changed. They may have sold them. So I just thought I would mention that to the court. It's a strange name, but that is my understanding. So, and I'm not asking the court to do anything. I just thought I would mention that.
Okay, I'm going based on the information that I've been presented, and what I've been told is that it was somebody from Newsweek, and the two exhibits that were submitted by Ms. Nelson, which are C-TR-98 and C-TR-99, have the Newsweek logo on them. So, all right. By the way, the jury has a question. Since I have you here, we'll mark this as question number 1 during deliberations, during phase 1 deliberations. And the question is, the jury requests a TV/DVD player to view evidence, and then it appears to be signed by the foreperson. Do the people have a position with respect to that request?
Well, I think that they should be able to view whatever evidence they want that's been admitted, and I don't remember exactly what procedure the court wanted to follow, and I don't know what the court had in mind about just giving them a DVD player or having them watch it in the courtroom. Different judges I've seen do it different ways. This is the first time this has come up. I have a feeling I know what they want to watch.
All right. Does the defense need a little time before we proceed on this?
That, we would like a little time, Your Honor, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. I think that's appropriate. Is it okay if I give you about 15 minutes? Does that give you enough time, you think?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And I just have just a brief further record to make on the issue of Newsweek.
Yes.
Based on what we could tell, just so the record is clear, Newsweek itself has taken down the tweet. However, because of the nature of how this stuff works, there are still secondary websites, including a website called inagist.com that apparently is a website that algorithmically curates tweets based on popularity in real time. And if you Google some terms that are pretty easy to figure out, you can still pull that tweet up on that website. In addition, Mr. King pointed out to me that there's now an article in USA Today already discussing the issue of Newsweek being banned from the courtroom from publishing a juror's name on Twitter. And in addition, as the court exhibit that I provided to the court just a few moments ago indicates, there have been some other news media organizations, including 7 News and Colorado Public Radio, that have also tweeted about this incident. And then if people Google terms that are related to this incident, it would be very easy to still pull up this tweet. So it's a very serious problem, and we think the court should take some further action.
With respect to Newsweek, is what you're saying?
Or anyone who has retweeted this information.
Well, in terms of Newsweek, I continue to be satisfied that the punishment that I have imposed is sufficient. In terms of anyone else who has retweeted it or has republished it, it has to be the juror's name. I mean, if agencies are reporting on the discussion that we're having and what has been brought to light today, I don't think they're in violation of my order. If agencies are publishing any jurors' names, whether they're just retweeting or republishing it, then I think that's a concern. So again, if I hear that there are other organizations that have done that, then that may be a different story in terms of whether I take action as to those other news agencies. But if a news agency is just reporting on what's happening here today in terms of the discussion without mentioning the juror's name, then that's not in violation of my orders. So we'll take a break. We'll take 15 minutes, and then I'll give you folks a chance to think about the request from the jury. Mr. Brockler?
Your Honor, may I, just to give the court something to consider in light of where we're at, and if this isn't timed well, please let me know. Just after we broke for lunch, Ms. Higgs was nice enough to bring over a PowerPoint presentation that they'd like to use presumptively for the second phase. And I would make a record about that when the court's prepared, but I have a copy for the court if it would like it in advance of this break.
Okay, yes, please. Any objection to me having that? No? Okay, thank you. Yes. All right, thank you. By the way, the other question, going back to the issue of the juror's name, juror 737's name being published, is whether I should tell him anything in terms of I've addressed the issue or something along those lines. I know that he was concerned and he seemed unhappy with the fact that he was aware that there was an order in place preventing the publication of any jurors' names, and he was also aware that apparently his name was published by Newsweek. So I think it would be appropriate, not while deliberations are going on, but if the proceeding continues, to bring him in at some point and just say, I've taken care of it, and leave it at that. Is that okay with the people?
That's fine with us.
Is that okay with the defense?
Your Honor, we think he should be informed of something. I'm not sure if I'm taking care of it is sufficient, but, or maybe the court has taken appropriate action. But yes, I think he should be informed.
Okay, the court